Konstantin Heretic Baranov. Sniper. Is it possible to feel the gaze of a sniper? Unlikely. More likely to sense an incomprehensible threat, vague anxiety. But when one of the group falls with a bullet in the head, the rest begin to feel the danger in full. The survivors say, an extremely lousy feeling. I wonder if the 5 stalkers suspect that they are being looked at through a telescopic sight. It doesn't seem so. Of course, there is a nervousness in their movements, but this is a consequence of tension. It is difficult not to tense up. Walking through ruins saturated with radiation. Again, flora and fauna prevent you from relaxing. It is difficult to predict how many eyes there are that look out from the rubble of buildings, who is lurking in the darkness of windows and basements. In any case, you need to keep your finger on the trigger. Maybe then you will have time to snap back with a burst of machine gun fire at the shadow that rushes out of the ruins. Life depends on readiness. The rifle barrel is magnetically attached to 5 figures moving among the melted ruins. In the eyepiece of the optical sight, people look like plastic soldiers, small, toy, not real. Pulling the trigger is not at all difficult. On the contrary, it creates a sense of sport, the excitement of a hunter. How many will I manage to shoot? Alas, this feeling fades with time. In the 40s of scalps, the sensations become dull. Pulling the trigger becomes routine and boring. There's a need to diversify the process of killing one's own kind. For example, to shoot a leg, nothing more, so that the wounded does not die prematurely from loss of blood. It is imperative to leave a chance for salvation. It is much more interesting when a person has a glimmer of hope. The group moves with difficulty, clearly not empty-handed. Is there really anything left in the ruins to profit from? Amazing. They have been dragging for 2 decades, but it turns out that not everything has been taken out yet. Not all of them, since everyone has a heavy backpack on their back. You can't run around with such a load on your back, and hiding is problematic. A convenient target, slow and large. Greed is worse than cholera. Greed is the ruin of a filibuster. I wonder what they are carrying? Probably the standard set. Food, books, junk. It wouldn't hurt to check later. Maybe they dug up something interesting. There is no nobility in robbing the dead, but the new world dictates new morality. Those living in the metro can only dance to this tune, looting on the corpse of civilization. But the ruins near the metro exits have long been ransacked, and need drives them further and further from the saving dungeon. In order to get there and return, safe routes are needed, and they should be studied thoroughly. In which basement the dosimeter goes off the scale, and where you can take off your gas mask and take a sip of water. Where are the hunting trails and lairs of various evil spirits? What ruins have not yet been plundered? So it turns out that safe path means permanent, and permanence can play a cruel joke. Any ambush is like a game of chess. It is not enough to foresee the opponent's actions. You need to make him act according to your plan. Look where you need to, run where you need to, shoot where you need to. 5 stalkers are about to cross the treasured border, not even suspecting that they are walking into a trap, and that the next second one of them will die. The operation is carefully thought out and planned in detail. Landmarks are sighted, details are taken into account, options are calculated. The road will be mastered by the one walking will be mastered by the one lying down. The 5 move in a chain, a few meters from each other. This way it is more difficult to kill everyone with one burst, and only one will be blown up by the tripwire, and the rest will have a chance to escape. They constantly look around, swing their machine guns around, ready to fire at any sound from the surrounding ruins. If they look around, it means they sense something. It makes sense. Stalkers don't live long without intuition. However, they can't stand still either. Dawn is just around the corner, and the way to the station pavilion is not short. The squad must hurry, but it is difficult to stay alert and hurry at the same time. So they move slowly. One looks through a thermal imager, although relying only on an electronic toy is stupid. It only saves from animals. Fortunately, cold-blooded people do not hunt at night. But a person is smarter and will take care of camouflage in advance. But now it is clear who is the main one and who will have to get an extra hole in their head first. At sea, the captain is the last to leave the ship. On land, his fate is different. To defeat a snake, you need to behead it. A man with a thermal imager stands up on the hood of a broken jeep. Better visibility, can see further. If only he had painted a target on his chest with white paint. Like a shooting gallery, even boring. The sighting marks contrast with the dark spot of the head, the sharp click of a shot. What does a sniper feel when he pulls the trigger, the recoil of the butt? Emotions will come later, much later, when fresh notches with the number of killed appear on the forend. The stalker commander falls, leaving a smeared red spot on the gray concrete of the wall. You can hear the crack of a broken device, the impact of a body on the asphalt, the obscene cries of subordinates. The Russian language is truly great and powerful. -1. The survivors rush about, throwing themselves for cover. Whoever managed to get where, like cockroaches in a kitchen in a past life, if you turn on the light. Actually, it's right. Once a shot rang out, and someone nearby fell with a hole in their gas mask, it's safer to bury your nose in the asphalt. So they bury their noses. But not all of them. An assault helmet with a visor rises above the hood of a mangled car. Big and thick. The viewing slit rotates from side to side, like a submarine periscope. The one looking out wants to understand where the shot came from. Apparently, religion doesn't allow him to see how the commander's body fell, and on which side the hole in his head is. Does he really expect that there's a rifle sticking out of the window, like in the movies? It's funny and stupid, just as stupid as it is to blindly believe in the metal and Kevlar of a helmet. Apparently, the thought of the cartridge's properties simply doesn't fit in the head under the tight titanium shell. Meanwhile, a sniper rifle cartridge differs from a regular one not only in size. Unfortunately, there are no armor-piercing ones left. They've been shot for a long time, and even the ubiquitous Balmanians haven't learned how to make bullets with a heat-strengthened core in makeshift conditions, alas. Perhaps that's why the owner of the helmet is so bold. He even stuck out his machine gun. He thinks he's found a sniper, the idiot. A short burst, the echo of shots, the rustle of concrete chips, completely off target. For a shooter, a good position doesn't attract attention, and obvious doesn't mean correct. The helmet wearer points the machine gun at a black hole in the next building. Another burst. A polyphonic echo jumps between the stubs of houses. I wonder what he plans to do when the ammunition runs out. Every bullet counts underground. It's not a sin to kill for such waste. The rifle barrel shifts smoothly. In the sights, the dark helmet contrasts well against the gray fragment of a wall. Stick it in the viewing slit? Tempting as a test of skill. Previously, a hunter would shoot an animal in the eye so as not to spoil the skin. But no, we'll save the show-off for another time. It's stupid to measure dicks during a combat operation. The butt of a rifle hits the shoulder. You can see how the bullet clicks on the helmet and ricochets into a pile of bricks. The head twitches and disappears behind the skeleton of the car. It's better to leave the helmet strap unfastened. The human neck is a fragile thing. It does not tolerate sudden movements. I wonder if it is possible, standing next to it, to hear the crunch of breaking vertebrae, or is the sound of the rebound interrupted? -2. The stalkers look at their fallen comrade in surprise. His death clearly seems supernatural to them. The helmet is intact, there is no hole, and the man is dead. Yes, this is how legends about invisible observers who kill with a glance appear. Unknown witchcraft and black magic. Have the children of the dungeon forgotten about the laws of physics and conservation of momentum? Most likely, they simply do not know about it. Education is now lame. The frantic fire of 3 machine guns tears the silence of the dead city. Well done. You determined the direction correctly. One more corpse and you will have to change position. They fire at the gaps in the windows, the remains of cars, concrete debris. They iron out any crack where a sniper can hide. What do they see? The skeleton of a dead metropolis, bones melted by atomic flame, skulls of houses with dozens of eye sockets, windows, collapsed buildings, similar to silent guards, protecting the treasures of a lost civilization. The dead city looks angrily at the handful of people who dared to disturb its peace. They finished shooting and fell silent. They hid behind cover. They changed magazines and wondered who was next. But they lay down well, almost competently. At least they were being taught something. Wait a minute. A dark spot was sticking out from behind a concrete pile. A knee. The soldier didn't fit completely, or simply forgot to remove his leg. In combat, such mistakes are atoned for with blood. This is a test of skill, to hit right away. There will be no second chance. Many underestimate the art of a sniper. They think that it is enough to catch the target of interest in the sight and pull the trigger. The especially smart sometimes also remember about the correction for distance and brand of cartridge. Everything else, barrel length, wear, heat, rifling pitch, quality of optics, sight mount, air temperature and humidity, wind direction, bullet shape, alloy, center of gravity, are trifles unworthy of attention. Words turn into empty sounds in vain. The world narrows to a glass circle with targeting notches, a shot, a scream, swearing through clenched teeth. Blood splashes on the concrete. A man in a baggy jumpsuit is hunched over behind a sleeper. He writhes, clutching his shot knee. The muzzle of his gas mask distorts the howl of pain. Now it's really time to change position, especially since the thermal imager is broken, and without it, it's hard to detect movement in the darkness of the ruins, especially when a professional is sneaking around. And the new point is better fortified than the previous one. Broken bricks are laid out in a semblance of an embrasure. An automatic rifle won't penetrate, and it's problematic to hit with an underbarrel grenade launcher. The distance is too great. Unless one of the fighters has a mortar or RPG in his pocket, or an artillery support group is on standby. The 3 survivors are still looking in the other direction, waiting for the next bang and the next dead man. The machine guns are twitching nervously, jumping from one building to another. The view is better from the second point. It is more comfortable to lie down. A good position. The blast wave successfully distorted the remains of the building 10 meters to the right, and those caught in the ambush already think that the fire is coming from the opposite end of the street. The effect of the presence of a second shooter is created. One sniper is already scary, and the appearance of a second one lowers the fighting spirit below the baseboard. Those caught in the ambush become completely sad, and yet it is too early to make the next move. Let them sweat, aiming at the void, and it is high time for us to conduct reconnaissance. In summary, we have the wounded man hid behind a sleeper. He will not escape on his own. The second one also has nowhere to go. He guessed to hide behind a car, the rusty body of which is shot through from all sides. The third one lay down in the rubble of the wall, once collapsed by the explosion, raises his head, gets a present between the eyes. The chess game is half over. End game. A head flashes behind the wrecked car. The stalker hesitates. Sometimes he prepares for a quick dash. Sometimes he hides again. He clearly wants to help the wounded man, but is afraid to leave the shelter and end up the next dead man. It is curious to watch how a person is torn between saving his comrade and his own life. Who will win in his soul, the brave man or the coward? A figure in a shapeless jumpsuit dashes from the car to the wreckage. He didn't abandon his partner. Man. An act worthy of respect. They can give a medal for that posthumously. Two people stubbornly cling to life. Against the background of faded asphalt, one can clearly see how one hastily drags the other by the straps of his bulletproof vest. The man who was shot, despite the hellish pain, does not lower his weapon, keeping the windows in his sights. The barrel of the rifle pursues the stalkers, first the savior, then the wounded man. Cynical. This is why snipers are disliked by both their own and others. Only their fellow craftsmen understand how one can pull the trigger so cold-bloodedly. But calm is necessary. The weapon does not tolerate nerves. The finger falls on the trigger, and then a warning cry sounds. Something is wrong. The scope's eyepiece prevents one from seeing the whole picture. The wounded man moves the machine gun from side to side, can't aim. But at whom? An angry roar. Such things haunt nightmares. Have mutants really dropped in for a visit? Has the universal generator of chance been triggered, giving rise to an element of chaos? Well, that's even more interesting. One will have to think on the fly. An improvisation always adds spice to the experience. Shots are fired randomly. The savior drops the wounded man and grabs his machine gun, too. Too late. The shaggy carcass knocks the man off his feet. Both of them roll head over heels on the ground. The force of the jump was enough to carry the creature and the victim several meters away. The wounded man turns over on his stomach and fires a burst, not really caring that he will hit his comrade. The monster roars in pain. Look, he hit! The mutant jumps from the victim to the shooter, covering 5 or 6 meters in one fell swoop. Amazing! A victorious roar, and now the creature is furiously tearing the man apart. Bloody rags of protective suit fly in all directions. The stalker, knocked down by the jump, shows no signs of life. A true predator. 2 corpses in 5 seconds. That's why you can't let the beast get close, whatever the case, -4. The mutant freezes over the mangled remains, sniffs, and listens. Smells a third victim. While the creature is motionless, its grotesque silhouette can be discerned. A huge carcass, dirty, matted fur, a broad back. The head merges with the shoulders. 3 limbs, the 4th is missing. No other details are visible. Too far away. Another mockery of nature. A spit in the laws of genetics and evolution. Why haven't mutants learned to fear gunshots over so many years? Are they not smart enough to understand that bipedal prey can snap back? Probably it's a different matter. Where there is shooting, there are corpses, fresh and warm. Among the inhabitants of the surface, there will always be those hungry enough to take the risk. At the moment, the creature is more concerned with the presence of the last of the Stalker 5, who has become suspiciously quiet. Concrete debris flickers in the eyepiece like in a child's kaleidoscope toy. Finally, the dark outlines of a human figure appear. A pitiful silhouette presses against a collapsed piece of wall. Through the scope, the man looks like a frightened rat trying to hide in a crack. He puts his hand under his unbuttoned overalls, and a second later it appears again. The man examines something lying on his palm, a photograph of his wife or girlfriend, touching, a pectoral cross, perhaps indeed another follower of a dead deity, an evil irony of fate to outlive the god you believe in. An abandoned machine gun lies nearby, doesn't resist, has surrendered. It's a shame to even waste a cartridge on such a thing. The rifle barrel turns back towards the beast, which confidently creeps up on the hidden stalker. The body, disfigured by mutations, moves surprisingly gracefully and easily for 3 points of support. The man shudders. The object from his hand falls at his feet. However, the owner does not bend down to get it, but takes off and runs as fast as he can along the street to the metro pavilion. The instinct for self-preservation takes over. The mutant rushes after him. Incredibly, the suicide bomber has a chance to save himself. A hit from a Kalashnikov does not pass without a trace, even for such unnatural creatures. With each second, the wounded creature loses its agility along with the blood. The distance between the hunter and the victim increases more and more. The stalker rushes, weaving between rusty cars. The rifle turns after him, trying to keep the running figure in the aiming marks. Faster, before he leaves the firing zone. Correction for the rangefinder scale. Shot. The smoking cartridge case rolls along the floor with a ringing sound. The runner twitches, but continues to rush to the saving metro. Strange. Past. Number body armor? From such a distance it should hit him in the back. Why does he run, then? Hidden reserves of the body. In this case, we have before us a clear example of what a person is capable of saving his life. There is a hole in his back, but he runs like an Olympian in a 100-meter dash. It is unprofessional to waste 2 bullets on one target. But circumstances force it. Legs flash in the sight. Shot, recoil, scream. The runner falls and tries to crawl. Hands convulsively cling to cracks in the asphalt. The left leg helps to push off, and the right drags lifelessly behind the body. The crawler leaves a black trail of blood on the faded asphalt, and then the creature catches up with the victim. -5. Checkmate. A short scream turns into a wheeze, which quickly turns into a gurgling sound. The fabric of a torn jumpsuit cracks, bones crunch and chomp. The little animal is hungry, however it is time to end the operation. The sight catches the nape of the hideous creature. A shot. The bullet clearly passes through. A bloody streak hangs for a second behind the ugly body. The drops freeze in the air, reluctantly submitting to the force of gravity. The mutant squeals and turns its entire body. With an agility surprising for 3 legs and 2 wounds, it spins around, not understanding where the piece of metal that wounded it came from, not seeing, not smelling, not hearing the enemy. The tenacious bastard. How many more bullets will I have to waste? Where is the brain, or at least some kind of nerve center hidden in this ugly piece of meat? Obviously mortally wounded, but it could take several hours to die. We'll have to use trial and error. Shot. Echoes dance between the houses, twisted by the blast wave. The creature shudders again, turns around and hobbles toward the gap in the nearest wall. It's clearly smarter than it seemed at first glance. It realized that it was better to run away. But it's moving slowly. All 3 paws are limping and shuffling. With each passing second, the monster is staggering more and more. It's fallen. It's trying to get up, but to no avail. And there are only a few meters left to the saving gap. The freak twitches convulsively and freezes. It's hard to argue with a 7.62 caliber bullet. The sight shifts back to the corpse of the stalker who didn't make it to the shelter. A terrible sight. Children, pregnant women, and the particularly impressionable are asked not to watch. A torn chest, white fragments of ribs, all 7 meters of intestines fell out of the opened abdominal cavity. Next to the gutted corpse lies an arm torn from the shoulder. A sharp bone fragment gleams white under the rags of the overalls. Above the elbow is a black red-white stripe, also stained with blood. A 3-pointed swastika, a brand that confirms better than any documents or words who the dead were, and the sniper's rightness. The soldiers of the Fourth Reich will not return from the city, 5 bastards less. Now that's really it. The game is played, and it's time to leave. Dawn is coming soon. The sun, which gave life, now mercilessly drives its former children underground. The survivors in the metro are like the dead, who crawl out of their graves only in the light of the moon. The radio comes to life just in time. Through the crackle of static, the partner hisses. Radiation interference distorts the voice. Zh! Owl! Zh! Alive? Zh! Did you snap some fascists? Zh! Yes, finished. We're searching and leaving. Zh! How many soldiers will the Führer be missing? Zh! 5. Zh! What should I tell Melnick? Zh! 090545.